Didn't I start last week's show, Mortgages and BS show, with some kind of countdown? Didn't I do some kind of
Yeah, we did a countdown, and then I snapped a beer can.
Snapped a beer can. Yep. I think that,
Or pop can.
Oh, it was a soda. Yes, it was a soda. Yes, of course it was.
And then we led into, little Jimmy Buffett in the boat.
Yes, we did.
And we can go there again.
I want you to go there real quick because I asked you before we got the show started. Your travails of the boat were documented on last week's Mortgages and BS show. Is the boat repaired now? Is it in the water, Tom Smith?
It is not in the water.
All right.
But I did get the email today that they figured out finally what the heck was wrong with it.
And
it was only an electrical harness.
Not a large-scale calamity.
Nope. But, they are on the phone with Mercury, scientists, NASA, the whole thing. They finally figured it out. So when I go up the next time, Buffett will be playing on Nelson Lake.
Buffett will be playing.
I'm kind of excited about
out of the boat speakers.
Because for the 4th of July, we were in camouflage floaties floating around the lake.
No, this is not right. For a boat owner to be in camouflage floaties on a holiday weekend, this is not right, sir. This is not work, sir.
Well, my wife and daughter wanted to get in the water, so that was the only way to do it.
Well, of course you're going to fall into Plan B or Plan C, but what I'm saying is morally, ethically, it's not right, and I'm glad that things will be right again soon.
I probably was a little wrong going off on the guy like I did, but let's face it. I took the boat in September to get fixed. It's July, okay?
You did get off on them last week on the show, and with subsequent posts on social media. Oh boy, did you ever!
I could never run my business like that, ever. God,
you got 3 kids in college. Never, ever. Oh, boy.
But I'm happy now.
All right, well, life is a little bit better. During the course of the show with Tom Smith over yonder, and Tom, you look not so burnt, so I'm throwing some props out to you. You must have had your SPF 50 on while you're out on the camouflage floaty. Looking pretty good here, my friend.
Well, we didn't go very far out in the floaty, so wasn't a chance. We got a lot of clouds because you couldn't avoid the clouds, but we took care of ourselves.
Right.
Fun.
Good man. So Tom Smith's here. Yours truly, BT Brian Turner. Mortgages and BS. We're going to get into some stuff about misconceptions when it comes to mortgages. We're going to talk about Greece because that's the big financial thing going on this week, and how is that going to affect the markets, and how is that going to affect rates and other things, given where these tipping points with Greece may or may not fall. We don't know what's going to happen with them yet, but we can do some speculation. And we got a little bit of this and that about things, of course, happening in the world and pop culture.
The birds and the bees, yeah.
Yeah, and especially the birds and the bees, as the case would be.
And the flowers and the trees.
And we're joined by a great guest, a friend from the Twin Cities area here. He's a Hopkins native, but you know him from Super Troopers and Club Dread and Beer Fest and the Slam and Salmon and other movies. Erik Stolhanski's here. How are you, Erik?
Hey, whoa, boys. How you doing?
Whoa, Biggie. You're down in St. Louis. What takes you down in St. Louis? And thanks for joining us via the long-distance line. What are you doing down in the Gateway City, man?
I was reading a Mark Twain book. I decided to just hop on a raft and start drifting.
Well, then you got to go up to Hannibal. There's a really good bar there. They serve their beer in like a tub. It's kind of scary.
Really?
Yes, true story.
You can take a bath and drink a beer at the same time, like the same water?
Well, that's what I was thinking. We stopped at a bar in Hannibal, Missouri one time, and they actually had like those big washing bin tubs, and they had their beer on ice in there. They had no coolers whatsoever.
Well, wow. Sounds fantastic.
It sounds Mark Twain style.
I thought I was partying in my backyard.
Exactly.
Like the Apple River.
You think they'd Apple River, right? You think they'd class it up a little bit, but it's Hannibal, Missouri. I'm sure you'll find joints like that in Wisconsin and Minnesota if you look hard enough, too.
Careful now.
But really, what takes you down to St. Louis? Are you working on a project or a speaking engagement, or what's happening for you?
Yeah, quick speaking engagement. I'm a consultant. I'm a communication consultant for a company called Game On. And I'm currently down here working with the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, isn't that
hockey
cool?
Team.
Yeah, well, I know you love your hockey. I mean, you're a sports guy in general, but to be connected with the hockey thing. So, Game On, are they doing something with the Blues as far as a deal there, or what?
Well, we're a communication consulting company, and we kind of bounce around from different sports teams, and we work on media training for professional athletes, as well as doing team building and stuff with corporate clients. But a big chunk of our business is with professional athletes and teams.
So you get out there, your background as an actor, as a producer, as a writer, but especially as an actor, you're going to get out there and help these athletes learn how to better communicate when the camera's on them, or when there's a press conference, or any number of things that athletes need to be involved in that just are because of the nature of their business.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting background. My buddy Steve Schenbaum, who started the company, he's the founder. Years ago, he graduated Northwestern, came out of acting school, and he was best friends with Kimberly Williams, and Kimberly Williams started dating Pete Sampras. And they're playing golf one day, and Pete's all nervous and sweating, and he turns to Steve and he says, "Man, you're so funny and confident. Like, I saw on David Letterman tonight. You got to help me. I'm begging you. You got to help me. And so Steve started putting a curriculum together to start helping athletes feel more comfortable doing talk shows and media-related stuff, and it turned into a full-time business for him.
Where were you guys when Sprewell said, I got to put food on the table for my family?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you look
as an actor to actually get paid.
You listen to these athletes. I mean, some of these guys are really good. I mean, either they're just naturally good or somebody's really coached them. And now you get some of these new kids coming into play, especially here in the cities like Towns and Tyus Jones. I mean, what do you see happening for those guys? And are you going to coach those guys as I'm speaking?
Yeah, I think that everyone could use some training. You know, it's just a muscle they don't use very often. So we got a really fun curriculum that we work on with.
Eric, as an actor,
I thought my English was terrible.
You speak for a living, sir? What? You know, as an
English professor, she would have been all over that sentence.
Guitar players that are great guitar players continue to take lessons. Actors and performers continue to take lessons. Do you, in addition to teaching, I mean, do you ever grab onto some lessons, or just kind of get a refresher on some of those, those performance chops and those muscles? You don't do a movie for a while, or you're not on stage in a while. Do you ever reach out and do that same kind of thing? From the flip side, from the receiving end?
Yeah, totally. I take some improv classes over at Dudley Riggs every once in a while. I think they're terrific down there. So yeah.
Yeah,
one of our buddies, Chuck Gollop, ever gets over there for that.
Oh, I bet he does. I bet he does. You keep the chops alive, keep everything going. Hey, Eric, we saw a whole lot of stuff on social media not too long ago with the much anticipated Super Troopers 2, and it was a big Kickstarter type campaign. What was the goal, and where did you guys end up with all the funding on Super Troopers 2?
Yeah, it was a really fun campaign. Went better than we could have imagined. We ended up raising $4.5 million.
Wow.
Over 30 days.
That's a lot of money.
30-day campaign. Yeah, it was humbling. It was great. But now we're excited to start shooting, and we're starting end of September.
Oh, so that's coming up that quickly then?
Yeah, we needed to find a window when Brian Cox is going to be available, so he's available in October. So we said, let's book it.
Well, BT and I would be more than glad to be extras in the movie. I mean, we'd be more
right there, Eric.
We'd be, the dumb guy that gets arrested for something. We'll do it.
The beautiful male models.
Or that.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Or that.
Just don't show our faces.
I love the way he thinks, though. And he loves the way we move, apparently.
But I am definitely up if you do a sequel to Beer Fest. I am up for that one.
You know what? Here's our rejoinder. Exactly. He's definitely in on that. Well, that's really exciting. I mean, the fever for Super Troopers since the movie came out never died, did it? I mean, it's one of those cult favorites for so many people. Would you agree, Eric? I mean, that you'd get called Rabbit more often than anything else?
Yeah, absolutely get called Rabbit more than anything. And one of the reasons that we did feel confident about doing a Kickstarter was that we felt like almost every day somebody would ask us when we were going to do the sequel. So we definitely thought there was an appetite for it.
Well, I know I've got a 20 is he 24, 25? I lose track. Anyway, he's got the DVD of Super Troopers, and I know he watches it at least 3 times a month, just based on what I can tell. So with his buddies, and if my son was on air right now, he could probably recite all the lines from the movie to boot. So it's one of those things that those kids like. And it's one of those things that us goofy old guys will like too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a family favorite around our house. I mean, it's one of those deals where even if you're just tuning through the channels, I'm just looking for a little companionship on the screen sort of thing. And Super Troopers comes on, boom, it's staying. Okay. It doesn't matter where it is in the movie. It could be 20 minutes left in the movie or whatever. It just doesn't matter. So the whole Broken Lizard troupe is in. Brian Cox is in. You lost one of your wonderful acting family. So remind us about him and his role.
Oh, Daniel Von Bergen.
Yep, Daniel Von Bergen. Yeah.
It's been Super Troopers. He had some sad health issues, diabetes, and he fought with some. Struggled with some things, amputation, and I'm not exactly sure, and that's what he ended up passing away with, but it was very sad. Such a great guy.
Yeah,
we're very, very sad to lose him.
To see him in so many other roles too. I mean, certainly, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" when he played the sheriff in that, and just a great actor, and he just seems like one of those great characters to kind of hang around with on the set and be in a movie or creative effort with.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. It was it was funny because we got kind of jealous because he was shooting the scenes of the local cops. And whenever they finished, they'd go to the bar and hang out and have a great time, and we still have to continue working. And we wanted to be hanging out with those guys at times. We thought, everyone gets to hang out in Von Bargen, and we didn't.
That's ironic.
A little bit, but
BT does that too here. He goes over to the local bar after we're done, hangs out, and I have to go home.
Tom lives vicariously through me, though, Erik, so that it all really works out in the end. I send him blog posts with pictures. It's what I do because I'm a man. I'm a giver. I'm a man that gives.
Now for
you can Periscope it.
Now for Super Troopers 2, are there any little things you could tell us maybe to look for or be excited about with it?
Oh, so many things. I don't even know where to start.
What can you reveal, though?
Yeah, what is allowed?
Because we don't want you to lose your gig because of this. People, suddenly, somebody hears that. Did you hear what Stolhanske said? He gave up this info about Stolhanske. You're out of here. We don't want that to happen,
right.
Erik.
No, right. We all moved to Mexico.
Really? So that's one.
That tells a lot right there because everything's legal in Mexico.
Really? No.
So the Super Troopers
give away the secrets. You guys gonna go?
They go from Maine to Mexico. I'm thinking that we just better leave the question of. Are there things you can tell me off the table?
What's funny is I know my son will do this. He just went on Fandango and he's got tickets for us to go see Vacation, the new one coming out.
Yeah.
So as soon as he hears about this, because he knows I like goofy stuff too, he'll go out Fandango, get the tickets for this, and he'll have his book to go. And of course, he'll want to go to the bar for a little bit beforehand because it's always funnier, that way.
But of course, a little lubed up action there.
But it's a cult classic. There's no way. I mean, it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in my house.
So you're talking about the new one with Ed Helms and not Alicia Silverstone, but
it's coming out in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But with Super Troopers, you're not going to be out there for a while though.
Yeah, the new Vacation. Yeah, the new Vacation movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to. Can we talk about that? I want to hear your guys' opinion on what you guys feel about remaking classics like that.
Well, here I'll start. I think it's a lot of lazy. I think it's a lot of laziness. I think it's Hollywood not creating enough new opportunities for actual films to be made, with new content, with new writing. Sure, that still happens, but I think it's just, it's a money churn that Hollywood is so embracing now. And, obviously they're embracing it because the movie viewers are embracing it. So I don't know what I can say. It sounds like I'm disparaging Hollywood, but maybe I'm really disparaging the movie viewers out there in general.
Well, I personally, when you see a movie and you like the movie, the remake is never the same. It's just not. Animal House. If somebody redo, I'm a freak on Animal House. If you were to redo Animal House, it would never be the same. The only time you really see a big difference is like you take a movie from the 40s or something like that, and you redo it and you update it a little bit. Well, and that's different.
I was just talking about Heaven Can Wait with my friend keyboardist Bob Burns yesterday. He's with the band The Flamin' O's, and Bob and I were at the Target Field where they're doing the Midwest Music Showcase, and Flamin' O's were featured as a part of the game, And Bob and I were talking about movies, and for some reason Heaven Can Wait came up, and I remember the original movie. I love the original movie back in the 40s, and then, of course, Warren Beatty made it, and I liked that one, too. And then Chris Rock made one, and I didn't like that one as much. You know why? Because it was still too close to the Warren Beatty one. So I'm seeing what you're saying, Tom. If it's something that's a classic made back in the day, and then it's made 30 years later, 40 years later, and done really well, and the Warren Beatty movie was, then it works. But, Vacation, again, it's 20-something years old, but it's still a little too close. Okay, so I want to get Stolhanske's read on it. What's your read on this remake thing? Because you guys aren't remaking, you're doing a sequel, and it's a part of it. Yeah. It's a serialized narrative going on there. But what's your feeling on the remake thing?
It confuses me because it's such a classic, and it wasn't that long ago. Like, I remember seeing that in the theater. I'm not that old, and now there's a new one coming out. Chevy Chase is still around. He's still doing movies, still doing TV. I don't know. It feels too soon, maybe.
Yeah, so we're on the same page there because that's exactly what I was saying. The proximity to the original is just too close.
Vacation, Caddyshack, the original Arthur, they all came out in that same era, and they remade Arthur with Brand, and I didn't like that at all.
Well, yeah, and some, Caddyshack 2 was an awful movie. Caddyshack 1 was just wonderful, and I just don't know if I could see a Caddyshack remake. Now, here's something that I am intrigued by. Netflix is doing an original series based on the Hot American Summer. That
movie, yeah, that was
Wet Hot American Summer.
That was a good movie.
Now, that was a fun movie. A lot of great actors in it that have gone on to even better greatness. Bradley Cooper with some Oscar wins. Just a lot of great actors, comedians in there. But they're doing it in a completely different environment. They're doing it as a short-term series on Netflix. Now, that looks fun to me. I mean, that has some texture that it's a different environment, even though the proximity is still pretty close.
Absolutely, and it wasn't like a huge classic Hollywood movie.
Wet Hot American Summer,
well.
yeah, it was well received, kind of a cult thing too. But yeah,
it's one of those ones where you didn't really jump out of your way to go to, but when you watch it, you went, "Hey, I like this."
Funny comedy.
Yeah, I've seen it. I think I've seen it two times, maybe three times now, and I never saw it when it first came out. But now that I've seen it, because I love Michael Showalter, I love Christopher Maloney. I mean, all those actors that are in there. It's just it's delightful. So
yeah, great group. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
it's sort of like a smaller release. I don't know, but Vacation was just
it was a huge thing. Yeah.
Film.
All I know is Christy Brinkley. Oh God!
Take a sip of that beer. Exactly.
I think she's on my list. I think my wife said Christy Brinkley
is that
on
right?
my list. Yeah. So now, when would you hope to have the movie released by then for Super Troopers 2?
Oh, Fox is going to put it out, and it has to fit into their schedule. And when it works for them, hopefully late spring, early summer next year.
Yeah,
well, I think you should have the premiere here, and we'll, BT and I can be up there. We can, have beers for people waiting to come in.
Oh, I like it. I was thinking like the Icon. Icon Theater has that great bar.
Oh, we could be red carpet beer guys. I'm liking the way this is shaping up.
We can
already.
interview people as they're coming in. Because let's face it, I mean, Minneapolis is a hub for movies these days. And there are a lot of people here, movers and shakers. And you're from the area, so why not?
I think it's a great idea. I know. They're filming a great movie in St. Paul right now called Wilson, a Fox Searchlight movie with Woody Harrelson.
With Woody Harrelson,
that's right.
Laura Dern. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
hey,
Laura Dern.
Do you think you might be able to use a little of your pull because of your work with the Minnesota Film and TV Board? To kind of let's bring the troopers in for a thing here in Minnesota. Do you think that might give a little nudge that way?
I certainly have nudged to bring an advanced screening, which is already in the works.
Nice.
So yes.
Yeah, all right, very good.
BT, we're in front, aren't we? We're right in the front row.
I think we're in like Flynn on this one here. I think we're in like Flynn. Hey, Erik, I wanted to ask you. It's the Mortgages and BS show. So, when you guys first put Super Troopers together, or you and the Broken Lizard guys have done comedy tours, of course, other movies, as I mentioned, like the Slam and Salmon and Beer Fest, which Tom wants to be a part of that sequel more than anything else, and Club Dread and such. Did you guys? I mean, we've talked about this on the show. Dipping into your equity on your home and stuff to finance things that are creative endeavors or small businesses. Did you guys ever tap into tap into any of that financial resource to help get maybe not a big movie done, but any of those creative projects started and begin that whole sort of entrepreneur thing with creativity being the core of it?
We're actors, BT. We don't have mortgages.
I know better.
We only have rentals.
I got a double wide.
We were fortunate enough to get in the studio system after Super Troopers, and so we made most of our films with Fox Searchlight and Warner Brothers, putting up the initial capital. So we were very grateful, very fortunate in that aspect.
Then that's awesome because what happens I think a lot of times when people are starting off, whether they're an actor or somewhere in the entertainment industry, and they're getting going, so much of that income back then was 1099, and they're going in as a self-employed borrower trying to buy a house. It's a pain in the butt for them. Now you've got some consistency because you're established. It makes it a lot easier for you.
Yeah, our first movie definitely was credit cards and aunts and uncles and. Actually, a funny story is that Jay Chandrasekhar, who was the director and one of the members of the Broken Lizard comedy group, he is from India. His family's from India, his mom and dad. So they thought he was a doctor, and they offered him a American Express with a very large cap. Is that what you call it?
Credit line, yeah.
Credit line, yeah, very large credit line, thinking he was a doctor because his name was Jay. Giant Jumbalingam Chandrasekhar, and they just assumed he was a doctor.
They just assumed it.
We
wow.
Put a lot of the financing.
I'm changing my name.
Tom Chandrasekhar.
There we go.
I don't know if that's going to work.
I'll get higher than a 250 limit then, won't I?
So you guys did. So there was some of that sort of that personal, not so much the home equity part, but that personal financing thing that needed to be a part of that narrative.
Oh, big time! Yeah, our first movie, was all personal finance.
Well, and you've got to. You've got to take the risks and put the investment in, and it all comes back to you guys being able to do and get to the point that you want to be, and then of course the next part is the people coming and watching.
Yeah, you got to get lucky. You have to make a good product, and then it's like investing in a small business. You take a risk, but you hope that it pays off. You have belief in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys have done well. I mean, you guys have had quite a bit of success, and it looks like you're going to have some continued success.
Crossing our fingers. There's a lot of pressure even today. I was talking to some of the guys in the Blues locker room, and they were like, that's big shoes to fill. How are you going to do that? I get that a lot, and we're just going to do the best we can.
Well, I know sequels are hard. I mean, they are. I mean, they're always different. And if you can continue what you did with the first one, it'll be awesome. It'll continue to go on very well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're going to get a lot of attention from the media out there because it's not just a fan thing. It's also something that that various people have fan bases in the media world. So I think I can see a Jimmy Fallon being a fan of Super Troopers. I can see Stephen Colbert being a fan of Super Troopers, and so I can see a lot of that stuff teeing up for you guys because it's that goofy kind of humor that those guys appreciate and love. You guys have always put out that kind of product, and it's always been solid and well written and well acted, and so I can see that kind of future happening too, and fueling the fire for a Super Troopers 2 success. Eric, have you ever been to Greece? Have you traveled to Europe? Have you been to Greece? Because I want to segue in because Tom and I we brought up Greece, and I want to bring this up because I lived in Greece for a year and a half, and I just love the Greek people.
Did you? Wow.
I did, and just what's going on with them and their culture and their country because of a bunch of nasty bankers and politicians and cronyism in government and what's happening now with the financial thing. Did you ever travel there? Have you ever been overseas to Greece, Eric?
I wish. No, I've never been to Greece. I'd love to go. I mean, it's a beautiful country.
I was there for a day and a half.
What's going to happen? One day.
Were you there
for a day?
Were you there in the Navy?
I was in there in the Navy. But what's funny is the other day when they had the whole thing where they didn't vote on the deal and the money got turned down, there's a financial foreign minister for Greece, and he resigned.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He said, I'm done. I'm not going to put up with this anymore.
I mean, they're talking about how this is not going to be something that sends a direct shock into the markets right now, although it has done some effect. This is going to be more of a long-term thing because of the way it's going to affect things in the economy in the European area, especially, and in other areas as well. And they said it'll be felt for the next 3 to 4 years at least.
Wow! So there is an after effect here. Do you think that they're going to bring the drachma back in as their currency then, or what do you think's going to happen? Because you keep an eye on the financial markets and things like that a lot more closely. You have to.
I've read a lot of articles on it. A lot of people have a different retrospect of it. I think they're going to end up staying with the currency that they have.
With the euro, okay.
I think they're going to figure out a way to bail them out a little bit or forgive them. It kind of sucks because they talk about how much money it is. I mean, they had how much billions due the other day. I mean, same thing if the U.S. did it. I mean, how the impact that the U.S. would have would be much stronger than Greece. But maybe they have to look at doing something like that. Right off the bad debt, whatever. I don't know. I mean, who they owe and what they owe is all a big thing. And what's happening though is the economy itself there is pretty messed up. And what you pay for something there, and the people there, and the jobs and stuff. I mean, you haven't seen. It's almost like the Depression in a way there. When you look at some of that stuff.
The unemployment's super high, and again, that whole cronyistic style of big business and big banking coming together, colluding in a lot of ways, and the government jobs, overpriced, instead of being a baseline $55,000 a year job, to use dollar figures here, people were making $150,000 a year just because of someone they knew, etc.
Well, the weird part is, I mean, think about it. I mean, if you had a credit card and you're in college or you're starting a business like Erik did, right? And you've got this credit card balance out there and you're running some issues and you're trying to make payments on it, the credit card company's all over your butt, right?
Of course.
Why weren't people on Greece faster?
Or people in the rest of Europe is really, the creditors in that case. The other European
it's one of those
countries.
things where if you run a country like a business, you're able to foresee some of this stuff. Not You get me going on this, I'll go nuts. So.
If Erik could speak to this, if someone from craft services was usually charging, $400 a day, to make sure all the food was there, and some kind of crony thing was going on, and suddenly, hey, what's this $1,000 a day bill? Well, it's my uncle's company, and this. I mean, that you count up $100 here, $100 there, like former President Reagan said. Well, suddenly that's $1 billion. I mean, you can't run a movie set like that. You can't run a country like that.
So why do we also have much money? What do we do about it?
We just keep printing it.
keep just churning out the presses. Well, I think what's going to happen there is they're going to look at trying to collect 100% of nothing, or cutting some deals so they can get, the creditors being the other European nations, get 30, 40, maybe 50% of something, and work out terms that go out 20 years.
They're going to have to figure something out, obviously. Otherwise, where's that country going to go?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a beautiful country. I mean, the culture, the heritage, the history is unbelievable.
The people are wonderful.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so sad, is that, government and business can ruin things like that. And I don't really like to get into politics or religion ever, but that was it's just messed up.
Well, and I don't think it was as much government as it was cronyism in government.
Right.
They tried to
I know a guy. He's my friend.
Yeah. And then everybody just patting each other on the back and not paying attention.
I mean, my brother's sweeping over at the Parthenon, and I'm giving him $40 an hour or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was like. Well, here's another thing. We can do the Super Troopers 2 advanced screening here in Minnesota, and then Erik, I'm going to throw this out there. We're going to take the film canisters. They're probably digital files now, but we're going to take those to Mykonos, and we're going to all take a little cruise there, and Tom and I are going to be the red carpet Retsina guys. That's one of the wines that are in Greek culture. So we'll, instead of beer guys, red carpet Retsina guys, will be pouring little shots of ouzo and Retsina.
Oh,
does this sound like a plan?
You got to get the brown ouzo.
The brown. Well, we can do it. We can. Hey man, you got to get the brown ouzo.
Do you know that?
Oh, I do.
Yes.
I do. Yeah, the very licoricey tasting. So what do you think, Stolhanske? Plan? Are we working on it?
That sounds like Kevin. We got togas, and we go there in January.
Yes!
Oh, we can relive Animal House.
We're in.
Yeah.
Stolhanske says togas, we're in.
I'm all over that.
Erik, we'll catch up with you.
We'll
catch up with you when you get back in the area here. Thanks for hanging with us here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's fun. Thanks.
Do appreciate it.
Adios from St. Louis.
Have a good time. We're looking forward to it.
Cheers. Talk soon, guys.
All right. See you later. Do appreciate it. That's really exciting with Super Troopers 2 coming up here, shooting in September, and then next year. That's just awesome.
Well, it's got to be fun for him. I mean, because here's something they've had success with. It's like any movie they've had. If they've had success and people want to see more of it, it's a big compliment to them.
God,
people
absolutely.
want to see it.
Yeah.
So hopefully
clamoring.
Hopefully they do it right, like they did with the first one. And it's another success. I mean, you can. To me, even if a sequel is good, it's never the same as the first.
Exactly. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But a remake is what you're getting at. Even sequel.
Even a sequel.
Okay.
Even a sequel. Sometimes
because there's certainly some that were better. I mean, I would argue that The Godfather 2 was a better movie than Godfather, and I love The Godfather, but I think Godfather 2 was a better movie.
It was.
Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back, better movie than Star. It was better.
You do, and especially when you get the people that are really into the cult following of it. I mean, I've been disappointed with some sequels, although they were still good. They weren't the same as the first, but there have been a lot of sequels that have been better than the first, and that's what I'm hoping for these guys, because I tell you, the first one was. They hit it out of the park.
Yep.
They can hit it out of the park again. It's going to be awesome.
Yep, I think they will too. And I think it's going to be a pop culture thing as much as a movie thing. I think people are really going to embrace it and embrace those guys, embrace all those characters that they played. There was a cool thing on. Let's go into Burt's Bees real quick here, because that guy had a cool story going on. He's making this. He's a beekeeper back in the day, and then he's making a few things out of the wax. And then he meets this woman who wants to do even more with the Burt's wax. And so she takes over that thing and starts selling it in farmers markets. They grow it into a huge business. They part ways in 1993. Skin products, yep. And the Burt's Bees lip balm and all that kind of stuff, waxy lip balm and other skin products. They part ways in 1993. Later, the company sold to Clorox for hundreds of millions of dollars. All that Burt asked out of this And he cut a deal in '93. He's more or less said we just could, we were on different worlds. The woman and his partner and her and him. And he said when all is said and done, he got a little more money, I think, or a lot more money out of the Clorox deal. But he didn't care.
He didn't care about the money. Nope,
he didn't care. He wanted 37. I guess it was like 37 acres, way out in the boonies in Maine, and that's where he lived out the rest of his life. And just didn't care, and there's a lot to be said for Burt's Bees.
It's one of those things. I mean, it's a fluke. He came up with something that he didn't intend to, and it turned into obviously a
huge
multi-million-dollar business. And then when you see the guy, you would never think. I mean, my first thought was Howard Hughes, scraggly hair.
Yeah.
He reminded me of a guy from Duck Dynasty or something like that.
Kind of.
I mean, just looked like a '60s hippie. And just simplistic, kept his life simple, stuff like that. But he's going to be remembered forever for that because, I mean, it's a product that, revolutionized quite a few things.
Yeah, absolutely. And just sort of the way people started thinking about natural products and things that came from nature in certain specific ways. Burt's Bees was on the front end of a whole lot of that thinking, to be sure. So,
Definitely.
Props to the late Burt of Burt's Bees fame. Let's dig into a couple of quick mortgage things.
Do we have to?
Well, I just want to because there's there's a lot of
mortgages.
First-time buyers are the tick is up now. I mean,
first-time buyers,
pretty cool.
They're starting to pop up.
You start seeing the economy changing a little bit, and that's a big indicator, I think, of what's going on out there.
Well, I think first-time buyers are realizing that rates are still low, and they're a little uncertain what's going to happen down the road. And we're all uncertain. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. But I think they want to take advantage of the rates while they can, and I think they're looking at home prices as probably going up too because of the wholesalers market thing.
Yep.
And so they're starting to go out and they're looking for property, and they're going up a little higher than they want. But the neat thing about first-time buyers today is, it used to be you were qualified for a $200,000 house, and the buyer wanted a $240,000 house. Now you're qualified for a $240,000, and the buyer wants a $200,000 house. They're being a little bit more cautious and conservative in their investment, which is good. It's good because of the fact that they're playing it safe. They want to make sure they're investing correctly and that they potentially have something in the long term they can hold on to if they wanted to or sell at a profit. So that's kind of nice. And they're realizing that the inventory is there, and we're actually seeing a lot of stuff starting to break out. Now, the inventory is not necessarily picking up, but we're seeing that price range for the first-time buyer that wasn't quite there popping out where some of the upper bracket stuff is shutting down. So it's kind of nice. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of stuff listed out there in the 169 to 220 range, and that's first-time buyer heaven.
That's beauty. One misconception I just want to bring up one because we got to wrap up the show here. I think a lot of first-time buyers they would look at the place where they've had a checking account for 15 years, with that bank, and think, okay, that's where I'm going to have a great financial relationship. I'm going to go in there because I've been a customer for so long. Savings account, checking account, maybe a Visa card through the bank, that sort of thing. They're going to give me the best deal on my mortgage because of that relationship. That's what it's all about, right? Relationships.
There's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, too.
Yeah, right. To her, Laura. I love me Lucky Charms.
You know what? I see it more so in small towns. I mean, small towns, you go back to the bank and stuff like that, and especially because there's not a lot of mortgage bankers and brokers there. But you're banking with Wells Fargo, Bank of America, companies like that.
Bank.
They're not going to give you a great deal just because you banked there. They're going to give you whatever deal they've got on the table at the time based on their profit margins. The best thing to do is to find somebody out there that somebody else has used or had a good time with, because most people that are not at the big companies are truly about relationships and building relationships for the future, and they're going to give you a good deal. You go to these big companies, that's all they are. You're just a number to them.
They're churning them through as quickly as they can.
We had that ad, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. I mean, that's all it really is. Somebody calls me up. I know who it is. I know about their kids. I know their grandkids. It's not just a loan number.
It is a relationship.
It is.
It's absolutely.
And that's what I think customers need to do is they need to make sure that when they sit down with somebody that they feel comfortable. And I've said that forever. And you know what? That doesn't mean go to the bank you bank with, because they don't really give a crap.
Get those quotes from somebody that you can trust, someone that you've got a relationship with, and work with them. Absolutely.
I know a couple guys.
How about one? He's sitting across from me. Toss your email address out there.
My email, tom.smith@amic.inc. amicinc.org. God, I keep screwing that one up. It's on our website, though, right on the Spreaker site and everything like that.
AMECINC, amicinc.org.
But the big thing is, if you got questions, you can always get a hold of me through a live and social network, too. So just feel free.
Another edition of the Mortgages and BS show under our belts for this week. Another one coming up next week. Special thanks to Erik Stolhanske.
That was really
pretty
kind of cool.
Yeah, nice.
Especially since Dave Sinekin fell apart on us.
He's coming in soon. He's got kids that have baseball.
I know.
We got pals out there
The
that are busy
All-Star
with their
game.
families.
The All-Star game tonight, I guess.
So indeed, let's throw props out because it's always family first on the
He's
Mortgages and
I think
BS
he's
show.
coaching. I think his son's on the mound too, or something.
Yeah,
like
right
that.
on. He's a proud papa. So, we'll get Cindy on soon. Our friend Chris Hockey will join in soon. And thank you for joining in on today's edition of the Mortgages
And we'll
BS
just
show.
sing the show is over. Bye-bye.